because you've heard the adage, don't hate the player, hate the game. Well, let me tell you what the problem is with that, okay? Oftentimes, when you are a player, you're trying to become best at what it is that you do in the game or the market of business that you're in. And what's so crazy about that is when you're competing, say, against big companies, you'll never have enough money to outspend them. Unless unless you got like some VC, some venture capitalists come in and give you all this money. But as a startup and as an existing business owner, say in a local market, you got to do something different. So it's not about being a player, right? It's about being a boss, and it's about creating your own game and your rules on how you operate. But before I get deep into that, and to kind of give you my thoughts on how to differentiate and be something different, and how to tell your narrative, your story on how different you are, I just want to come to you and say a couple of things to some DMs that I got from some people who were rather nasty, but it's cool. And the first DM I got was, the one DM I got that was kind of interesting was a person questioning whether or not I actually been to school. Well, first and foremost, let me just say this. You do not need a degree. And I know the colleges that I work for will probably hate that, but you do not need a degree to be successful. You don't. However, for the quote unquote hater, and I'm going to show you something, okay? All right, first and foremost, this right here is a degree from Boston. Okay, I hope you can see that. All right, from Boston University. That's a master's in international marketing management with a concentration in doing business in Latin America. Okay, now the other degree is an MBA from the University of Massachusetts, which is funny too because there's graduation video and also pictures of me at my graduation on my profile, which I think is kind of funny that the person who actually sent me that didn't even bother to look. But anyway, nonetheless, there you go. All right. So now let's get back to what it is that we need to talk about. First and foremost, let me just say this. I always recommend a book, a game, a documentary. I recommend, something of interest that can help you along your entrepreneur journey. Now, today's book, I've actually read it several times over a long period of time. And for a lot of you people out there, you might not necessarily agree with what I'm about to recommend, but this book is intriguing. In fact, all of his books are intriguing. And this book is Robert Beck's Iceberg Slim. That's what most people know him as, Pimp. Okay? Now, you might say, whoa, AJ, why are you recommending something like this? Well, let me explain something to you. Okay? In the 80s, there was this craze on Wall Street about reading certain books that would help you understand the treachery and the diabolicalness of traders on Wall Street. And believe it or not, understanding human nature and how people are innate and how they can learn bad behaviors. And believe it or not, Robert Beck's book was an actual book to read by some of the most successful Wall Street brokers. Now, one guy who actually recommended this same book, this Pimp and Iceberg Slim, The Naked Soul of Iceberg Slim, you can tell it's super old. You see how kind of rusty it is, and in terms of old pages, because I've had it since literally the 80s. All right, this guy is, look up the London Real, like London real estate, but just look up London Real and you see how successful the guy is. I'm not going to even tell you who he is, but I'm going to tell you London Real is what he owns. He has an enormous podcast, he has millions of followers on YouTube, and this is one of the books he recommended, and I recommend it as well. Iceberg Slim. He's known as Robert Beck. In fact, there is a documentary on him on Netflix. Just look it up. Oh yes, hey Hey, Tori, I appreciate you checking out. Yeah, I know. I know it's crazy. Yeah, I know it's crazy, right? But, hey, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you just have to, shut haters up. Okay, so that was my feeble attempt to shut the person up who sent me the nasty DM. Oh, and by the way, when you send in DMs, please don't send any sex stuff to me. I'm completely not interested. I'm 100% married and happily married. Okay, thank you. That's just another side note. All right, so back to the deal. Now, part of being, being a boss and not just being a player in a game, but creating your own game. In other words, creating value that differentiates you from everyone else is investing in yourself. So to me, my number one advice to anyone that really wants to bring something of value to the world, you have to, number one, find out what differentiates you, but it requires you to invest in yourself. And speaking of, I often get questions like, well, AJ, I see you. I mean, how are you getting, this movie-like quality on your live streams when a lot of live streams are constantly, they're constantly buffering or they just look terrible. And it's because I invest in myself, because I said to myself, I don't want to be just like everyone else as far as doing, say, podcasts and live streams. I want to be able to, be able to come to you in a way that's high quality, different from everyone else, because I don't want to follow the trend. I want to set the trend. And for example, like right now, most people don't know, I have 4 cameras on me. Okay, let me show you this. Okay. All right, 4 cameras on me. So let me switch cameras here. So this camera right here is a Canon, and this other camera is my most expensive camera. It's a 4K camera. Look, see right here, 4K movie quality, right? And here's a cheap webcam that I'm using at the top. And of course, if I wanted to Skype someone in, I could definitely do that. But for the most part, oh, and here's a crappy cam right here, which is the cam that comes with the Mac computer. But nonetheless, I have all these different cameras on me. You want to know why? One, in post-production, I want to be able to do something different, like being a boss, not being just like everyone else, be able to go back and cut scenes and really create something dynamic when I'm sharing it across, say, YouTube, right? But at the same time, I also invested early to do something different. So when we finish building out the studio and start having guests in the studio, then we'll have all these different cameras in which we can actually switch. Okay, switch from guest to guest to guest to guest to guest. At least they question. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Tori. You're right. Okay, so now, all right. So how do you, just to get just deep in the conversation, how do you not act like a player, but in the game, but a boss that's creating his own game? All right. Now, I've recommended this before to you all. Now, I recommend you as an entrepreneur or startup or an existing business owner to do something different. And so how do you do something different? Well, there's 2 types of business strategy. Okay. There is the red ocean strategy and there's the blue ocean strategy. Okay. A red ocean strategy is where you are competing against other people in the market and you all are fighting like sharks in the sea. Okay, you're fighting in the ocean. I mean, you're fighting, and blood is everywhere. You want to know why? Because because you all are so much alike that customers or potential customers are so absolutely 100% confused, they don't know whose service to use. And a great example of this is car dealerships. Think about all the car dealerships. I'm going to switch cameras on you this and look at you square in the face. Like, think about all of the different car dealerships that say exactly the same thing. Good, bad, no, or slow credit. Damn. Okay. What about all of the attorneys that say the same thing? We don't get paid unless you do. Okay, but what is the differentiator? What is the differentiator? There is no differentiator, right? Okay? Until someone else or some company decide to do it different. Since I gave you the example of a car dealership, think about Carvana. Okay? You cannot tell me Carvana is not different from every other car dealership. You want to know why? Because they literally have car vending machines where you can sit in the comfort of your own home, in your Snuggie, in your onesie, right? And order a car. And they could either bring the car to you. If you want to be, honestly, you can be lazy, because we are in the age of convenience, meaning we are more lazy now than ever. Okay. So you as a car dealer, how are you going to compete with a company like Carvana that's doing it so different that they bring the car to you? Not only that, if you want to go get your own car, they send you a token to where you can go to a car vending machine, drop the token in, and get your car. Okay? Is this a new concept? Hell no. They've been having car vending machines in Japan for forever. Okay? However, because they're taking it and they're marketing it in a way like people are not marketing it. Okay? Now, I'll give you another one. What about all of you hair salons out there? All you stylists. Okay? Sure, you make money, but how big do you really want to be? How are you doing anything different? Well, what about Preve? Preve is on demand, stylists. They'll come to your house, they'll do your nails, they'll do your hair, they'll give you a shave, they'll do whatever. How can you compete against that? So you really have to start thinking about how can you do something different than everyone else out there is doing. And that is honestly how you become a boss and not just a player in the game. And so back to the red ocean strategy and the blue ocean strategy. Okay. With the blue ocean strategy, it's just that you compete in clear waters, completely blue, where the competition, and I think, Tori, you've heard me say this before, right? The competition is 100% irrelevant. It doesn't matter who you're competing against. You know why? Because you're not really competing, because you're doing something different. Okay. I have a guy that I know. The guy tells me all the time. He goes, "Well, hey man, why should I hire your company? Because I know people that do exactly what you do." This guy actually thought that all we did was build websites. No, dude, we're in digital asset management. We're into strategy. We're into putting together a collective and devised plan for execution. What are you guys doing? Right? So, yeah, I'm a little hyped today. And I'll be honest with you, because if you want to be a boss and create something of value, you can't play like everyone else is playing. Why do you think Tesla is winning? Do you know that Elon Musk, okay, the owner of Tesla, the one who actually helped co-found PayPal, is set to, based on projections, eventually be richer than Jeff Bezos? Why? Because they're doing something different, okay? They're doing something different. They're operating in a lane like no one else is operating in. And everybody else is playing catch up. You know what I mean? Why do you think 5 Hour Energy Drink owns 95% of the market? Why? Because they're doing something different, but they're doing it, and they were a pioneer. They were doing it like in a blue ocean, offering innovation, right? Doing it in a way that no one else was doing it. And now people are playing catch up. Why do you think Nike owns 90+% of all market share? Now, I know that's hard to believe, especially considering, all these other different brands such as Adidas and Reebok and all that, but Nike is crushing it, okay? That's why they can offer billion-dollar deals and lifetime deals to people, because they own the majority of the market, but they started by doing something different. And so my question to you is, what are you going to do different? Well, I'm going to give you some strategy on how you can do something different, no matter what industry you're in, okay? When it comes to creating value innovation, okay, innovation means to create value. Of course, you know what that is. It's only 4 simple things that you have to ask yourself. The number one thing you have to ask yourself, what process can you eliminate that makes it better for your customers? Amazon is perfect at this, okay? Used to be, okay? Well, Uber's perfect at this. Uber provided you an app, okay? Uber provides you an app. All you got to do is order a car comes to you. Versus taxi, which is a disrupted industry, taxi service, personal transportation, where you have to call them, then you go outside and you have to wait. There's no app to see where your driver is. So guess what? Uber eliminated that whole uncertainty. Okay, they eliminate the uncertainty. Now, the second thing is, what standards can you reduce? This is number 2. What can you reduce to make it easy? Here's a prime example with Amazon. Once you buy something on Amazon for over a period of time, all you got to do now, because they know your buying patterns, is click one button to purchase. That's it. So I want to buy something from Amazon. I go to Amazon, I click one button, and boom, now I'm here. Okay, it's done. Okay, but if you had to go to a grocery store, you would have to get up, clean yourself up, go to the store, stand in line, do all these different things when you can just order with all these different services, from Uber Eats to Shift. I mean, to all these different things all these different services that are disrupted the market, that have reduced the weight on what the consumer has to do. Now, number 3, what standards can you raise? Okay. Well, Amazon is a prime example of always raising standards. Now, when you order something from Amazon, you can literally, instead of saying your package will be delivered by tonight, you can literally on a map inside of Amazon track where your delivery driver is. Okay? You don't want your packages to be left outside? Guess what? They have an app for them to open your garage and drop it in. Okay? Drop your package in, eliminating and reducing the opportunity for thieves to actually steal what it is that you're ordering. Okay? And so here's the number 4. What standards or processes can you incorporate from adjacent industries to create a new experience? What kind of new experience are you creating for your customers? Okay? In other words, an adjacent industry would be, okay, so say I'm in personal transportation like Uber. Okay? Well, since Uber's in personal transportation, what can they do? They can look at DoorDash and see how DoorDash is operating, and then what? They create Uber Eats, right? So not only can you rely on Uber for personal transportation, but you can also rely on Uber to get your food to you, right? Hence, making it more convenient for the customer. Okay, so let me go over those 4 things again to value innovation, okay? Make it super quick. Number 1, what processes can you eliminate? This is you as an entrepreneur or a startup or a person that already has a business. How can you make, what your customers have to go through, the buying process, the customer journey, much easier, okay? What can you eliminate? Okay, number 2, what standards can we reduce? In other words, what can you reduce? The number of steps it takes for them to actually purchase something from you, the convenience of delivery. What can you reduce? The convenience of delivery to them versus them coming to your store. What can you reduce to make their experience better? Okay. Number 3, what standards can you raise? Okay. Can you start a loyalty program, a rewards program? Okay. Where for every 3 purchases, you build some points. Starbucks is great at this for giving away free drinks and remembering people on their birthdays and all of that. They really have raised the standards, right? And so people engage in Starbucks more because the experience is so fantastic. Now, lastly, what standards or processes can you incorporate in adjacent industries to create value for your customer? Simply put, look around you and what other businesses. What can you adapt from what other businesses are doing, industries that is, to make what it is you do 1,000% better. Okay. All right. So, wow. I really, somebody said I need to work on responding to business inquiries. Trust me. If we got business inquiries, I definitely would respond, or we definitely would respond. No. And by the way, you might say, AJ, why did you show that when you could have simply hid that? Because it seems like a complaint. You want to know why? Because there was this one thing that we talked about was, honestly, I don't know if she was talking to us or not, but nonetheless, since she brought it up, I'm going to share this with you. There's a thing called the VOC in business, voice of the customer, okay? Because we do digital asset management, we deal oftentimes with brand reputation and helping clients, basically clean up bad stuff about them online. Well, it's not that they're being bad businesses. Oftentimes, it's very difficult for them to keep up with everything. Okay, and so that's why they hire outside agencies like ours. So the VOC, excuse me, the VOC, voice of the customer. Let me switch camera here so I can explain this to you. Okay, all right. So the voice of the customer, the VOC, is where the most, the most innovation, the most value is created. A great example of voice of the customer is a negative review online. Okay, say if someone comes into your business and they say, "Hey, we don't like what we experienced when we were in your store." Now you can take that negative review, respond to them, and now you have something that you can lever to improve your service or your product or whatever it is that you're doing in terms of delivering value. So why am I saying all that to you? I'm saying this to you that in order to be a true boss and not just a player, in other words, just like everyone else, you got to do something different. You have to create value. You have to consider the customer. If you'd like to be a guest on this show, okay, or if you'd like to sponsor this show, just simply DM me or email me at sales, SALES, at ThinkGrids, that's ThinkGrids.com, and someone will definitely get back with you. And speaking of ThinkGrids, we are an E-Verified company, so just Google ThinkGrids as one word, and you'll see what comes up about us. Thank you for all of the loves. 13 likes, 12 hearts, anywhere between, say, 4 to 6 people constantly in and out. I really appreciate it, especially during this time of day. As always, everyone, I'm AJ, and for the next Startup Junkie that's coming this Wednesday, we haven't actually agreed on what the topic is going to be, but I guarantee it's going to help you. Be sure to like and share this with your friends. If you are in a private business group, share this in your business group. As always, everyone, I'm AJ with ThinkGrids, and I'm out. Take care, y'all. Peace.